Hello, this is Mr. Wright and another tutorial for you today. Today we're going to use Excel to create a frequency distribution table and histogram. So you need to have your Excel spreadsheet open. Also you need to have copy and pasted into a new sheet your data set. And here's my data set here, and I'm doing the heights of Year 9 students. And I have, as you can see, 100 sets of data describing Year 9 students' heights. Make sure that you have your heading here, whether it be arm span or the belly button to ground, belly button to floor measurement. So make sure that you type in your heading here, what it is. Is it arm span, belly button to floor, or right foot? I prepared one here for you to show you the end result. You can see here we've got a frequency distribution table and a histogram. So this is what we're working towards today. So let's get to it. First of all, you need to make sure that your data set is arranged in ascending order. So click in your first data there, go up to the top here where it says data, and you'll find a button at the top here called sort. There are two other little buttons beside it. One's descending, which sorts largest to smallest, and the other one sorts smallest to largest. Click that and it will sort your data in ascending order. We do that so that we can find out our minimum and maximum values, which will then help us to determine our interval ranges. So as you can see, the very first number here, which is my minimum, is 120, so I'm going to type that in there. And then I'm going to go scroll down to my last number, and that's 189. Scroll back up, and my maximum value is 189. So what I need to do is to have my interval ranges start from 120 and at least go beyond 189, so I'm going to take it to about 190. Now you need to work out at this point what your intervals are going to be. What that means is, on your frequency distribution table, how big are your steps? Are you going to step up 1 centimeter each time, 5 centimeters each time, or 10 centimeters each time? It's up to you, depending on what your data set is. I'm going to go up by 10 centimeter intervals. So to do that, I'm going to have Excel help me and work that out for me. So I'm going to click in the next box here, and I'm going to do a simple math calculations. I'm going to put equals, that's asking Excel to do a math calculation for me. I'm going to click in that first box, and you can see F2 comes up there. And then I want to add 10 because my intervals are going to be by 10 centimeters. And then an enter. And you can see it's given me the number 30, so that's correct. Now I want to have interval ranges from 120 all the way up to 190. So then I'm going to put my cursor back and highlight that cell again. I'm going to put my cursor right in the corner so I get that cross there, and left click, hold and drag down probably about 10 squares or so. So as you can see, it's done the calculation for me: 120, 130, 140, 150, and so on, up to 240. But I said before I only need to go up to 190. So I'm just going to go along and delete these ones that I don't need. So there we go. 120 up to 190. Okay, now I'm ready to use the analytical tools in Excel to construct a histogram and frequency distribution table. So I go up here to data, and I move all the way. It should be the far right hand button, and you can see here it says data analysis tool or data analysis. If you don't have this button, you need to see your teacher, and he or she can get it on there for you. So click data analysis, and we have this data analysis square. I'll just blow it up so you can see it a little bit closer. And you have various options here, but the option we want to choose is histogram. So click histogram, and then click OK. I'm just going to take that off. So click histogram and OK. Just going to move that around over here. So just going to delete these figures here. Now the first thing we need to do is to input our range. So our input range will be, and we make sure our cursor is highlighted there, our input range will be our data set. So from the heading all the way down to the bottom, click and drag and select. Including the heading, the 100 pieces of data. And now you can see there they are. Selected there. Let's go back up to the beginning, up to the top. Next we're going to enter our bin range. Our bin range is this set of range here. So we're going to highlight the top and drag. And now we've got our bin range. Select labels, and the last thing we need to do is select output range and put the cursor in there. And the output range is simply where do you want your frequency distribution table, and I want it there. So I just highlight that and then press OK. So let me just go back and do that again. I'll just clear that and do that again for you. Just clear those contents. So watch again. I go data, data analysis, select histogram, and OK. I'll do the whole thing again for you. So put your cursor in the input range, make sure it's flashing there, and including the heading, select heights, or whatever your data set is, from the top, all the way down to the bottom, all the way down to the last piece of data, the last value you have. And you check it here, so it's B1 to B100 and 101. That's correct, that's great. So I can go back up to the top. Let's redo the bin range. So my cursor's in there. This time I'm going to make sure that I select the range, the heading, as well as the other interval ranges. And as you can see, I've got F1 to F9, correct. Make sure you select labels. Make sure you select output range. Now where do I want my frequency distribution table? I want it right there. So just highlight that cell and it will show here. And then press OK. And there it is. Range and frequency. So what that tells us is that there's one person has a foot size of 120 centimeters. 25 students, year 9 students, have a foot size, sorry, not a foot size, a height of 160 centimeters. Okay, before we can do our histogram, there's one last thing we need to do, and we need to make these intervals. So click in the first cell and then double click to get the cursor in there. So I'm going to make it, this one is actually 0 to 120. Do the next one, and this one is 121 to 130. Double click. This one's actually 131 to 140. Double click. This is 141 to 150. Double click. This is 151 to 160, and you keep doing this until you have each one completed. 171 to 180, and the last interval is 181 to 190. So next we can do our histogram. To do our histogram, we need to highlight our information. You don't need to highlight the more part here, and we're going to go up to insert. So on the top here we've got an insert key, and over here to the column, click on that, and we're going to choose a 2D column, this very first one here, and there it is. We're not finished though, because this is not a distribution, sorry, this is not a histogram, because we have gaps in our bar graph here. So let me show you how to get rid of those gaps to make it a true histogram. As you noticed, I can hold and drag and move it around to where I want it to be. I'll show you some other cool things that you can do with it in a moment. But first, let's remove the gaps to make it a true histogram. So highlight one of the bars and then right click. At the bottom of this box you'll find where it says Format Data Series. Make sure that the series option is selected, and right here you can see it says gap width, large gap or no gap. So just drag that down to 0% towards all the way to the no gap and close, and now you can see I have my histogram with no gaps. Now there's some other cool things. If you want to leave it just like that, that's fine and you're finished. But if you'd like to make it a little bit more fancy, then you can click on here, and you can see at the top here you can choose a variety of colors. So I might choose that color. You can also add boundaries, and the way you do that is make sure that your bars are highlighted. So the way to do that is just click one and they highlight. Then again right click, go to Format Data Series, and over here you have various options to fill, border color, border styles, shadows, and so on. Go to border color and select solid line. You can choose your color here. I'm going to choose black, and I'm going to close, and as you can see now I have lines. So now I'm finished. And if you're doing the Year 9 assignment, then what you need to do is to copy that frequency distribution table and histogram onto a piece of graph paper or into your assignment. Good luck with preparing a frequency distribution table and a histogram using Excel.